You're listening to the Exponential Entrepreneur Podcast. This is the podcast for ambitious entrepreneurs who understand that exponential business growth isn't achieved through traditional business tactics alone, but through personal development, the ultimate leverage point to scale businesses beyond conventional limits. Hosted by Erica Ferenzi, featuring lessons from the Practical, Profitable Mindset program, created by RJon Robins, Alejandra Leibovich, Erica, and Oscar Ferenzi. And here's your host, Erica Ferenzi.
Leaders improve their lives and businesses by grounding decisions in facts, not in feelings. When anyone operates from reality instead of stories, their choices get better. Now, the thing is that most people make decisions based on feelings, assumptions, and stories rather than measurable reality. And what they do not know is that their brain is often lying to them. Unless you check and you make a commitment to check your perceptions against real data, what will happen is that you will end up reacting to illusions instead of facts. Throughout this week's episode, we will use optical illusions, attention experiments, and real-life examples to show you how easily people get fooled by what feels to be true, but it's not so. The thing is that when you pay attention to what matters, that will determine the results that you are going to get. Because in life, what you give your attention to will expand, and that to which you do not give your attention to will implode or begin to die. And the reason why this is important to you is because most people are not paying attention to what actually matters. There are tools like KPIs, bookkeeping, financial data, written processes, and reports that actually exist to anchor you in reality. When someone claims that something is a priority and that thing is not showing up in their calendar or in their bank account, well, it's a feeling rather than a truth. This week's exercise is going to be very simple. Notice how you feel when you get triggered, either positively or negatively. Whenever you feel something, stop and ask, what is this feeling really about? Is this feeling based on truth, or is this feeling based on the story that I am creating about what is happening? You will be encouraged to quantify things, identify triggers, and separate facts from interpretations. The key measure and points here is choice, that you choose your response, that you choose what you give your attention to based on what you want to grow next. Because remember that leaders improve their lives and their businesses by grounding decisions on facts, not on feelings. So let's listen to RJon on this week's lesson.
Getting real about reality. Most people go through life really unclear about reality. They substitute perceptions and opinions and feelings and stories and belief and even faith. They substitute all of these for reality. And they really go through life unaware of what reality actually is. They literally go through life with like blinders on, unaware of what's real. That is impractical and therefore unprofitable. I don't think I need to explain why it's impractical and unprofitable to go through reality unaware of what reality actually is. I want you to really dig in. I want you to put down the phone. Pay attention. Make eye contact with the person when you pay them with cash. Look at your calendar and see what your calendar is really telling you about the reality of what you claim to be your priorities versus what your calendar is telling you the priorities actually are. Question all of your perceptions. Question all of your feelings. If you feel something, if you feel good, if you feel bad, any feelings you have, I want you to question them this week and ask yourself, can it be quantified? How can I measure this feeling? We've got to get ourselves connected back with reality. That's the only place in which we can make our lives and our businesses more profitable. We cannot make our lives and our businesses more profitable anywhere else except in reality. And for those of you who are about to make a smart-ass comment about what about virtual reality? Guess what? It's still real. The cloud, you know where the cloud exists, everyone? Where does the cloud actually exist? Can anyone tell me? Server farms on the ground. In fact, just for fun, just for shits and giggles, does anyone know where most of your brain is? Where is most of your brain? Where is most of your brain? It's in your gut. Most of your brain is actually in your gut. It's actually most of your brain, most of our brains are in our gut. We biologically evolved. And if our brain was in our heads would be like twice the size of our heads, and we wouldn't be able to walk upright and run across the savannah. And so we evolved so that a big part of our brain is actually in our gut. This is science. This isn't like crazy stuff. Where is most of the cloud being transmitted? We agree that it's all terrestrial based. Virtual reality exists on the ground, on Earth. And where is most of that data getting moved around? Through the air or through wires and cables? Air, fiber optic cables. That's right, fiber optic cables. And does anyone know where most of the fiber optic cables are? Underwater. That is correct. Across the ocean. That is where. So most of the cloud is on Earth, and it's actually underwater on the ocean floor. And most of our brain is actually in our gut. I'm just sharing some fun facts to illustrate this point that there's all kinds of parts of reality that we're just completely oblivious to. And we go through life based on our feelings instead of really thinking our way through things. So our exercise for this week is to question your feelings. Do not trust any of your feelings. This week, question all of your feelings. Even if you feel good, why do you feel good? And I want you to notice how often your explanation for why you feel good is either A, another feeling, or B, a story. And how uncommon, how infrequent, how rare it is that your explanation for why you feel good about something, someone, some situation is actually quantifiable with facts. And when you begin to become conscious and aware and recognize that your explanations, your reasons, your quote unquote reasons, trying to put as much sarcasm into my air quotes as possible, your quote unquote reasons for feeling good about the things that you feel good about are actually not being quantified and not being objectively explained. I want you to stop and try to quantify those feelings. Try to objectively explain those feelings. Try to find objective explanations and objective measurable reasons for the good feelings and the bad feelings. And don't just say, I feel good because I like it. That's a lot like saying, that's a lot like giving someone feedback about their office space by saying, oh, it's pretty. The exercise this week is to question reality, question your feelings about everything. All right. Any questions before I set you loose with your exercise this week?
So I've been listening this morning, and I was just, I had an emotional morning. No big thing happened, but I woke up, and usually like on Monday mornings, I'm like, it's Monday. I get to drop my kids off at school. I've had a lot of kids. It's been great, and I'm ready to put a pause on that, and I'm going to do stuff, and it's going to be great, which in general is really good, right? That's a good way to live your life, to be excited to go to work. And this morning I was just like, I'm so overwhelmed. There's so much on my shoulders. I'm not going like I went into it with like a feeling of like despair almost. That sounds a little melodramatic. So I started like typing in my notes, like, how did I feel this morning? And I'm like, what is that based on? And I was like, well, what's different this morning than it is most Monday mornings? I said, well, my nanny's out for 3 days, so I have to arrange extra childcare. And the grandparents that I rely on for extra childcare are all out of town. So that's a little more. My stove crapped out, so we don't have a stove. You know, there's another reason that I'm going to be out for half a day, so I feel kind of stressed. I'm putting my first employee on a performance improvement plan, which makes me extremely anxious because I don't like, it makes me anxious.
Yeah, I get it.
This is like, and I was like, oh, so there's actually valid reasons why I feel this way.
This is exactly consistent with the purpose of this week's exercise.
It actually made me feel much better. Because I could say, okay, there's a reason why you're a little stressed. Let's try and figure out some solutions and know that this is not a permanent thing and moving on.
And you can do things about them.
Right.
Let me ask you a question. And by the way, maybe coincidence, maybe not coincidence. I woke up feeling fucking horrible this morning also. My Oura ring lied and said I had a good night's sleep and that I'm good readiness. It can't be true because I woke up this morning feeling like crap. And like you, I stopped to think why. I thought my way through it and realized, oh, it's spring break. Our plans for spring break fell through. We didn't act proactively enough or quickly enough to make new plans for spring break. And so we have no plans for Ty's spring break. So I'm scrambling to try to make things happen for him for spring break, which makes me feel frazzled. He's not having a great time, which causes stress. Anyway, the point I'm making is, like you, I was able to think things through, and then I have a lot of things that are happening that are a little bit overwhelming also. We're buying our first commercial office space. I got to find an architect. I've never done this before, blah, 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 blah. So you and I both were able to think our way out of our feelings. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
Now imagine what would have happened, and imagine how often this happens in the lives of most people who they feel this way, and their explanation is it's her fault. It's his fault. It's because of these things that I have no control over. And they literally just go down this real negative spiral.
I was heading there. I was totally heading there. This was like exactly the right call for me for today. But let me ask you a question. What can you do when you're like, I feel crappy? Are there things that are unusual? No, not really. It's kind of the same thing. Or do you think that if you think enough, you always kind of figure, can always kind of put your finger on it?
If you think your way through and identify the facts, sometimes the facts just fucking suck. But now you understand where the feeling is coming from. What most people do, they never think, they never analyze, they never measure. They have a feeling and boom, they start assigning blame, or they start reacting to the feeling instead of responding to the feeling, which almost always makes it worse. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
So let's talk about one of the contributing factors to your feelings today. All right. One of the contributing factors to your feelings today is the stove.
Yes.
Yes. Now, it's possible that your stove just quote unquote crapped out on you. What's more likely, in my experience, what's more common is that there were warning signs that the stove was having some problems.
Yes.
And part of your feelings, I suspect, have to do with regret, frustration, maybe even embarrassment that you didn't take action on the warning signs sooner. And now you're sitting here with this crapped out stove and all the inconvenience it has caused you.
I wouldn't go far as to say embarrassment, but annoyance that, I was like, oh, this function stopped working, but I can make do without it. And I don't have to spend the time on thinking about it. Like, I can still do the things I most need to do.
Where else in your business do you let things go and go and go and go and go until it just craps out on you? And how often do you use the lie, the total lie you just told yourself? My stove just crapped out on me. No, the truth is, after many, many, many warning signs, now we have to act, except now we don't get to act on our timetable. We don't get to act on our schedule. Now it's Monday and we're out shopping for a stove. If we had gone shopping for a stove 6 months ago, we could have shopped around. We could have bought the stove we wanted. We could have waited till the one we wanted was in stock. We could have, bought it on a weekend in our spare time instead of having to now tell a client, hey, I'm not working on your estate plan. Why not? Because I'm busy buying a fucking stove. Really? Why are you buying a stove? Because I didn't plan ahead. Really? My estate planner didn't plan ahead to anticipate the first, second, third, fourth time the stove started to have a problem, that the stove was going to be on its last legs and finally break down. That's not really what I'm looking for in an estate planning attorney. I mean, are you seeing what I'm going here? And I'm not trying to give you shit about it.
No, I get it. And I think it's actually hence my performance improvement plan for my employee. Have been seeing.
Probably causes you to have some anxiety because now you have to tell the employee to live up to standards that you're not yourself living up to, or you're going to say, holy shit, if I'm going to tell the employee that he has to live up to these standards, that means I have to live up to those standards, and that means I have to be uncomfortable.
I'm trying
to make the point that the way we do anything is the way we do everything. Causes lead to effects, and reality is reality. It always catches up with us. You turn around and there it is waiting for you. It never goes away.
No, yes.
You can run from reality. You can run and run and run faster and faster and faster, run from reality. But then you have the consequence of being exhausted from running from reality.
And it's still going to catch up to you.
And it still catches up with you.
Yeah.
Good. Listen, when did you have this whole revelation about the feelings?
When you were talking.
Oh, just now during the exercise.
Well, just at the very beginning, you started, and I just like opened a window and I just started typing, and I said, "How am I feeling right now? I'm feeling this sort of way. Why am I feeling this sort of way? Well, because of X and Y and Z and that's." And I was like, "Oh, I filled up like half a page."
Congratulations! Very really sincerely, really, that's a huge breakthrough for you, and I really appreciate that you put yourself in this position and were open to the exercise, and you had the thought to do that exercise, because that will change the way you experience the rest of your life if you'll always do that exercise.
Yeah, it's good. And I'm going to talk to my kids about it too.
Awesome.
As we wrap up today's episode, let's bring together the biggest lessons from this week's training. First, remember that your brain can trick you. Just because something feels true, that doesn't mean that it is true. That is why we want to constantly go back to our measures, our calendar, our KPIs, our bookkeeping, our reports, because those facts will anchor you in reality. Second, your emotions always have a reason and have a source. Every feeling, whether it's good or bad, comes from something that matters. When you pause and you ask, what are the facts that are creating this feeling? You will take back control. You will stop reacting to stories and to start responding to reality. Third, attention is absolutely everything. What you focus on will grow, and what you ignore will deteriorate or start to die. Fourth, priorities are revealed by behavior and not by words. If you say that something matters, but your time and your money do not go there, well, that thing that you say that was super important to you is not a priority, or at least it is not a priority yet. The data shows the truth. And once you accept that truth, you can make the changes that actually will move the needle in your business and in your life. And finally, when anyone operates from reality, that is very liberating. When we strip away the assumptions, the feelings, the projections, and you work what is actually in front of you and a fact, everything gets clearer. Your decisions will improve. Your emotions will stabilize. You will lead with intention instead of reaction. So this week, stay grounded. Question your feelings, measure what matters, and keep choosing reality over illusion. That is exactly what we do here at the Exponential Entrepreneur Podcast. And now it is your turn to take action. Stay healthy, stay hungry, and stay focused. We will see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Exponential Entrepreneur Podcast. We encourage you to take action on it today. Share what you've learned with another entrepreneur. Sign up for our newsletter to get bonus content you won't get anywhere else at exponentialentrepreneur.com, and subscribe to the Exponential Entrepreneur Podcast to receive the next